Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online build video with me, Sherman. Today, guys, we are taking a look at the Shaman. This is the Warden healer for Murkmire. And no, you do not have to be an Argonian to be one. You can be any race, actually. It's just Argonian fit better into what I was trying to do with this build, so that's why I chose the Argonian. Any of the magical classes are going to be better for it, but any race will work for this. So, alright, let's get right into it. So, starting with our build, of course, we are Argonian Warden. Max Magicka is 36k, which is pretty decent. We do have a 1969 magic recovery with an 18k health. The 18k health is going to play better with us than anything, because that change in the minor toughness really didn't change a lot of things, but it does hurt build structure to a degree, because without having health to back you up, you're gonna get one shot. It's that simple. So this really helps, and when you do have a major buff, you go to 19k, and then with Warhorn you go to about 22k health, which is really good. That gives you a lot of survivability in dungeons and trials and stuff. And as you can see, we also get a higher magic recovery. We actually go up to about 25k with pots. So, or 22k, 25k. I'll see if I can get it to, yeah, almost 25k with magic recovery, which is really good. And it allows us to do a little bit more, so. As you can see, we do have a 2,228 spell damage with a 39% spell crit. It's in a good place. It doesn't need any higher than that. I'm not going to lie, you will crit heal people. You will get some good stuff going on. But your crit actually goes higher. It actually goes up to... Oops. It goes up to, yeah, 39. So 39% crit isn't bad. We also have an 11,000 spell resist with a 9,000 physical resist. This is where things get a little iffy. It can be really rough, but thankfully we do have this. So we go to 16k and 15k in our spell and physical resist, and anyone within 20, I think it's 28 meters of us, will get those resistances as well. So really good there. So going back over here, going down, we do have minor Aegis because we are using Olorim. We do have the Mage Mundus Stone for the increased Max Magicka, and we are using Witch Mother's Potent Brew, which gives us Magic Recovery, Max Magicka, and Max Health for really good layout. Being an Argonian is actually pretty good for a lot of reasons. You do get more health. You do get a little bit less Magicka than all the others, but you also get 5% healing done. So that's the other reason why I chose it on the Warden. Warden does get major mending, but they don't get minor mending, so an Argonian can fit that role really well. Alright, moving on to the gear. First off, the food. Like I said, Witch Mother's Potent Brew. Pots, you're going to want to go with Spell Power Pots. These are going to give you the major sorcery, major proficiency. They're going to give you magic recovery, and they're going to give you a lot of magicka. The nice thing about being an Argonian, though, is that anytime you use a pot, it gives you health and stamina as well. So, gives you extra magicka, health, and stamina. So it's a really good trade-off there, and it works out really well. So, moving on to the gear sets. We are using Chokethorn. This is one of our main, the main monster set we're using. Chokethorn's a really powerful set. It is a single target heal though, so it's good, but it's not great. Now it can go off every 10 seconds. It has a 4-second uptime, and it heals for 22,890. That's a lot of health, by the way. It also gives you some magic recovery, and then as you can see, we are using divines. Everything we have is divines, by the way, and everything is tri-stats on the big pieces. All the smaller pieces are Max Magicka. And then on this as well, if you wanted to do it, you could go and infuse on the 3 bigger pieces, but you're going to end up with like 19k health, and it's really not necessary. So it does help though. But moving on to the other set is Olorims. Like I said, this gives us 2-piece and 4-piece of magic recovery, 3 pieces minor Aegis. which reduces the damage you take from dungeon, trial, and arena monsters by 5%. And this doesn't count towards damage reduction, so it doesn't become a multiplicative. It's actually the flat. You actually get the 5% bonus. I've tested it on tanks and healers to make sure that they get that extra 5%, and it does carry with them, even if you have like minor protection and major protection. So moving on to the 5-piece bonus, casting abilities that leave an effect on the ground in combat will create a circle of might for 10 seconds. You and your allies in the circle gain major courage for 30 seconds, increasing your weapon and spell damage by 28%, or 258, sorry, for 30 seconds. This effect can occur once every 10 seconds. So it's a good set to boost your group's DPS. And a lot of people are running it because it's really effective. 30-second uptime is something you don't want to pass up on. The other set we're running is something kind of unusual, kind of strange, but it's actually really good. It was surprising how well this works. But we are running the Lamia's set. Now, a lot of people say Lamia's is a bad choice for anyone, but it's actually quite good because it gives you the 2 and 4 piece of Max Magicka. The 3 piece is additional Magicka recovery, but it's a 5-piece that makes a huge difference. When you cast an ultimate ability, you heal you and your allies within 20 meters of you for 35 points, or 35 health per point of ultimate cost. So, if you use this, I don't know if I have any abilities up. We're going to go ahead and just go over here and attack this guy so I can get my ability bar up. Yes, we do. So we're going to go ahead and cast Warhorn. And you guys will see, Lamia's Song, 9,652 health. So if you have an ultimate and you cast it, anyone within 20 meters of you is going to get healed for that much health. So it is a awesome setup. I know a lot of people will say that it's not that good because it's only when you use an ultimate, but anytime you use an ultimate, you heal. And then on top of that, if you use it with a smaller one, so let me just build up my ultimate to 90 real quick, so you guys can see what happens when I use my trees. My trees, this is a really good one, because I get a double heal, which makes it really good for this build, because the trees I use quite a bit. I'm not going to lie, like if I, like playing around with this, I use it quite a bit. So if you use the trees, you get 2 heals. You get the Lamia's Song for 3,000 something with a 9,000 heal. So you actually heal for 12k with that. And on top of that, but it also casts Olorum. So, good trade-off there. On this set Lamia's, we are running all spell damage, magic, arcane on the jewelry. And then on the weapons, we are running 2 weapons. We're running a lightning staff Lamia's with an infused with weakening enchant. You can run a shock enchant if you want to. But honestly, the uptime of the off balance isn't going to change because most of your magic at DPS are going to be using that. Now in a dungeon, it's good to switch to a shock enchant, but remember, these are gold enchants. These things aren't cheap. So if you want to run around with 2 of these staves, one with a shock enchant, one with a weakening, that's fine. On the back bar, we are using a Magicka Absorb on an infused Lamia's Restoration Staff. This way we can keep good resource return. The nice thing about the build is it already has a lot of magic recovery, so you really don't need the Magicka return on this. You could actually swap this out for another weakening if you wanted to, or anything else. You could put a shock enchant here and put weakening here if you wanted to, but honestly, there's no real way to keep weakening applied really good with a resto staff, besides light attacking constantly when you're on it. So it's better to keep it on the lightning staff, because lightning will keep it up consistently. That's one of the things that is nice about this update, is even if you swap bars, it'll stay applied. So if I'm sitting here heavy attacking, you'll see that I'm still getting my Absorb Magicka, and the enchant is, or the buff is still there, as long as lightning wall is up. So the weakening does stay applied. Alright, so moving on now, you guys. So all divines on the gear, remember that. Tri-stats on the bigger pieces, little pieces, max magicka, all divines. Because we're Argonian, we don't need to use infused. on the bigger pieces because we already get 9% max health. So, and then on the jewelry, you want to use all spell damage because that will boost your heals a lot. And then down here, you already saw. So moving on to skills, make sure you get all your class passives because you are using skills from everything here, so it's going to help you out. Especially in this tree, the Piercing Cold increases your magic damage, so it increases the damage of your Resto Staff by 6%. So we aren't using a Frost Staff. Icy Ore is kind of nice when we're on the back bar. It gives us an extra 500 extra, or it gives us the, it increases our spell resist and physical resist by 500 on the back bar. So when we're on the Resto Bar and we're healing and stuff, you'll see our resistances are a little bit higher. So, nice again, trade-off. And then weapon passives, Destruction Staff, and Restoration Staff, get all of them. On the armor, we are wearing a 5-1-1 setup, so we are wearing 5 light, 1 medium, 1 heavy. So you want to get all the light armor passives. Medium armor, you want the top 2 and the bottom 1. And then heavy armor, you want the top 3. When it comes to soul magic, that's the only thing I use. I didn't want to be a vampire with this because I knew it wouldn't work very well because fire damage would just destroy me. So, but on this, I usually get both of these. Because this will fill empty soul gems. This one will give you an hour. 1 hour without using a soul gem to res, which you don't die very often. Alright, moving on. Fighters Guild, Intimidating Presence. Mages Guild, Persuasive Will. If you want to use Inner Light for more max magicka, you can. But honestly, it's really not worth it. It's not needed. Sigic Order, you can use Mend Wounds, but honestly, you don't need it. This build already has enough healing. Undaunted, you want the 2 passives there. And then on this, you can use this passive, the Magic Aid, if you're using Barrier, or if you're using Purge. And go with Efficient Purge, never go with the other one. The other one's too expensive. If you're playing PvP, the other one's better. In PvE, Efficient Purge is more than enough. Argonian passives, get them all. The reason I say that is the max magicka, 3%, and then you get the potion return of 4,620, and your health return is actually going to be more because you have healing received, and it works off of pots, so. The magic and stamina is really good. And then Argonian resistance, you do get poison, disease resistance. This gets added to your physical resist, by the way. So, and you are immune, it says, to poison and disease status effects. So, you get a resistance to the damage, abilities that do the damage, but you're immune to poison and disease status effects, which is insane. And then quick to mend, the healing done and healing received. Moving on, alchemy, you want to get medicinal use, and then on provisioning, gourmand and connoisseur. So that is the passives, guys. Now let's move on to the skills. And please understand, there are a lot of skills that you can use outside of the skills I suggest here, if you feel like you need them. Alright, so starting with the main bar, we have Blockade of Storms. Blockade of Storms is really good for uptime of weakening. If anyone's using Shock Enchants, it gives a greater uptime, or a greater chance of applying off balance. So that's why we use Lightning Stabs. The next ability on our bar is Deep Fissure. I know a lot of people are going to wonder why we're using Deep Fissure, and that's because this will allow us to put Major Breach on multiple targets. Any target hit by Deep Fissure gets the Major Breach. So in trash fights, try to line it up where you can get a lot of mobs hit with this, especially for your AoE DPS. This way your tank doesn't have to go around trying to pierce armor everything. They can just grab aggro with ranged taunts, whatever they need to, and you can do this. And this can, like I said, this helps burn down trash really fast because you're applying Major Breach on everything. Next on our bar, we do have Enchanted Growth. Enchanted Growth is a really powerful heal. It is like a Templar's Breath of Life, except this is directional. And it also grants minor intellect and minor endurance, increasing magicka and stam recovery on anyone in it. by 10% for 20 seconds. This is why when you saw me use it earlier, my magic recovery went up, was because I get that. I got all of it. And it lasts for 20 seconds. And then moving on, next ability, Energy Orb. Now you can use Mystic Orb if you want a little bit of extra damage. Energy Orb does a heal, and both of them have the same synergy. They both do, one does magic damage, one does healing. So this one heals, the one that does magic damage, I believe, still does magic damage. And then on top of that, it gives resources to your allies because it's a synergy of 3,960, either magicka or stamina. So it's whatever's higher, and they'll get that resource in return. Next ability on our bar is Elemental Drain. We apply this for Major Breach, but we also use it for minor magicka steal on enemies for 24 seconds. This causes any ally or any attack you do against an enemy to give back 300 magicka. So if you put down your Wall of Elements and that's it, if you watch... Oops, let me get this going. So if you do this and then you do your Wall of Elements, anytime your Wall of Elements deals damage, you get magicka back. So at least that's how it's supposed to work. It doesn't always work that way. No, I'm kidding. It does. It's just you have to be low on magicka. So it's a good sustain helper. The next thing on our bar here is Enchanted Forest. Now, Enchanted Forest, you can use either morph. I like Enchanted Forest because it gives 20 ultimate if I heal anyone below 50% health. On top of that, it heals for a lot up front. It heals for a lot over time. So, and it lasts for 6 seconds. Alright, moving on to the back bar here. Back bar, standard kind of setup. We have Healing Springs. This will give you heal, and it gives you magicka back whenever you heal targets. So for each target healed up to 3, you get 338 magicka. It's a heal, and it does a slight heal over time. It has a 3-second uptime. And then the next ability is Combat Prayer. And Combat Prayer, Healing Springs, this, Blockade of Storms, and Deep Fissure. Or not Deep Fissure, Enchanted Growth, I think it is, and Enchanted Forest, all can get Olerum to proc. So you're going to have a constant uptime of Olerum, which is really nice. So Healing Springs, like I said, good heal. Next one is Combat Prayer. This does a burst heal, and it gives everyone in your group Minor Berserk, Minor Resolve, and Minor Ward. Increasing their damage done by 8%, increasing their physical and spell resistance by 1320 for 8 seconds. So it has 8 seconds, burst heal, good overall buff. Next ability is Lotus Blossom. Now, I got asked the other day, why do you use Lotus Blossom? Lotus Blossom, because all your light and heavy attacks heal. It also grants you major proficiency, and the buff itself lasts for 20 seconds. Oops. So anytime I do a heavy attack with either one, I'm doing a heal. And it's always going to be a really high heal. So, because I'm doing a lot of heavy attacks there, and then if I'm on my lightning staff, I still get the heal. So either way, I can heal people. And as you saw there, it heals for a lot. Because the thing with lightning staff is... Oops. Is lightning staff has 2 ticks of damage at the end. It has an exploding tick, and the exploding tick is what does the light attack. So you actually get 2 heals on the heavy attack with the lightning staff. Alright, next up, Ward Ally. This is a great shield for you and somebody else, and the shield strength can be increased by up to 300% depending on the severity of the target's wounds. So I'll just show you guys real quick what happens if I take damage and I cast it on me. And then you can estimate what it's going to do for somebody else. Really? There's a 10k shield. For 6 seconds. So, for me, it's going to be great. For my allies, it's going to be even better. Because I can do this, well, and do that, Combat Prayer. And then they're gonna get healed for any damage that they've taken. So, and they're going to have a 10k... 15k shield on him. It actually can get pretty big. So really good ability. Next on our bar, and remember, resistances apply to your shields now. So this is why Wardens are going to be really helpful in-game. And this ability itself will help. And that is Expansive Frostcloak. So this grants you and your allies within 28 meters increase spell and physical resist by 5,280 for 24 seconds. So in a trial, you can be within 28 meters of your allies, and it doesn't matter. You could be from here to those people over there, and you can cast this, and they will get Frostcloak. So as long as you're within 28 meters of your group and you cast Frostcloak, they're going to get it. And that applies to the resistances on your shields. Next ability we have is Aggressive Warhorn. This is our final ultimate. This grants your allies within 20 meters a max magicka, max stamina by 10% for 30 seconds. It also grants you and your allies major force, increasing your critical damage by 15% for 9.5 seconds. And remember, every ultimate we have that we cast also heals because of Lamia's song. So this is a great setup for somebody who wants to have a little bit of extra heals and just wants to be more of a healer than and a group support. They can still do a lot of group support with this because they give minor toughness. They also give the minor intellect and stuff like that from this. So you give a lot of buffs out for your group, plus you're giving out Olorim. Plus you have a plant that heals. So you have a monster set that heals. You have a lot of healing with this build. You should not see anybody drop below 25% health. Not very often, not unless they make a mistake. It should never be on your end, because most of your heals are just insane. So, overall, it's a really fun build. It's a really great setup. And I know a lot of people will say, well, that's just too much healing. If you think it's too much healing, you can drop the monster set and go with just Olorim and Lamia's on the 2 5-piece sets there. And then you can run a Maelstrom Master setup. Or you could run a different monster set like Illumbras or something that does damage. It's really up to you. You have a lot of options with this build. But stick with these two sets that work out really well with the Warden, because the fact that your ultimates heal is crazy. Alright, so that is the gear, the skills. Time to move on to the CP, guys. And looking at the CP, we have 66 in Ironclad. This reduces damage taken from direct damage attacks by 22%. Now remember, my CP for the red tree is a universal setup. This is not something that you have to use. If you want something better, I would suggest going and looking up Alcast's CP allocation for each trial. He has it on his website, and it's really great. Moving on over here, we have 56 in a Hardy. This gives you 12% reduced damage taken from physical, poison, disease. We have 56 in Elemental Defender. This reduces Flame, Frost, Shock, and Magic damage by 12%. And then 31 into Thick Skin. This reduces damage over time effects by 13%. Thick Skin and Ironclad both stack with Hardy and Elemental Defender. So just remember that they do stack with these mitigations. So any damage you take from damage over time effects is reduced by 15%. Any damage you take from direct damage is reduced by 42% or 44%. Not quite 50, but close. Soon, in a year's time, it will be 50 for a lot of people. Next up, light armor focus, 2 points because we had extra points. I put it in here. And then moving on over here, we have 40 in the Bastion. This increases the effectiveness of our damage shields. We are using the Ward Ally. And if you want to, you can use Barrier as well instead of the trees. The trees isn't necessary. You already have enough healing, to be honest. But the trees do help. Next up, we do have Quick Recovery. 19 points. This increases healing received by 5%. If you wanted more resistances, you could take these 19 points out and put 10 into here and 11 into here. This way you get more resistances, and it's going to give you a little bit greater survivability. This will take you up an extra 1,000 physical. This will take you up an extra 1,000 magical. So it will apply to your shields and to the resistance buffs. So you will be sitting pretty high on that. But I like getting the extra healing. It helps a lot more. Alright, moving on to the green tree. We have 56 in a warlord. This reduces break free cost by 20%. 23 in a sprinter, reducing sprint cost by 14%. And then moving on over here, we have 76 in Arcanist. This increases our magic recovery by 14%. We are an Argonian, so we don't get increased magic recovery. The Warden class gives us that in 2 ways, as you saw. They actually have a buff. I think it's any animal. I just want to make sure on this. It's either in Animal Companions. Yeah, Animal Companions. Increases Magicka and Stamina recovery by 12%. There's a reason why I don't use Betting Etch, by the way, too. You already have enough magic recovery. This just is overkill. But if you wanted to use 2 of these so you can get the 12% on both bars, you could use Swarm on the back bar here. But I don't know where you would put it. Because you really don't need it. Like I said, this thing is just crazy. So yeah. Just saying. If you wanted more recovery. 43 in a tenacity. This increases the magic return of your heavy attacks. So your resto staff actually goes up to 70% return on heavy attacks. Just letting you know, it's crazy. Moving on over here, we have 56 in a tumbling. This reduces dodge roll cost by 20%. We do have 16 in a shadow ward, reducing our block cost because we do block, but we do have an increased stamina pool to 11k. So this will just save us a little bit. We will be dodge rolling and breaking free probably a lot more than we will be blocking. So moving on to the blue tree. Now again, I get asked this: why do you set it up this way? Why not build it for a healer, a true healer? Because I don't need that much in healing. I already have obscene heals. I don't need more healing. So instead of building for a super high overhealing, because I already have a high spell damage, and that compensates for, like if I didn't have a high spell damage, I would put 100 in a Blessed and 100 in an Elfborn. But since I have such high spell damage, I don't need it. So I put 100 or 56 in here, give me 12% healing done. Remember, I am an Argonian, so I get an extra 5% healing done. So that's a 17% increase. Then, on top of that, Elfborn. 56 gives us 20% on our critical heals and our critical damage. Don't need any more than that. We have 56 in Elemental Expert. This increases Flame, Frost, Shock, and Magic damage. So our shock damage is actually being increased by 12%. Our magic damage is being increased by 18% because we get 6% for being a warden or being a warden. So that is an 18% increase in our resto staff's damage. Now, if you didn't know, resto staff does have a cool thing on it, passive called Essence Drain, that you gain major mending for 3 seconds after completing a fully charged heavy attack, increasing your healing done by 25%. You also heal yourself or a nearby ally allied to the target for 35% of the damage inflicted. So, the more damage we deal with our resto staff, the greater that heavy attack heal will be. I can't show you the heal because I have to take damage, which sucks. So, let me just show you this, because this is cool. This is one of the reasons why I like playing healers, is they got so many unique tools. And it's not doing it. But it does heal when you have the passive. And I do have, that's not it. It did say it was that, but it can heal for quite a bit. And usually I've seen it hit for like 6k with this build, so. Alright, so moving on to the, but that's why we have so high into this. Next up, we have 6 into Spell Erosion, just because we had extra points, so that worked out really well. Over here, we have 16 into Staff Expert. This increases light and heavy attacks by 10%, which is kind of nice. We have 40 into Mastered Arms, increasing our direct damage done by 16%. And then over here, we have 40 into Thaumaturs. This increases the damage done with damage over time effects by 16%. Now, light and heavy attacks from Lightning and Resto Staff are boosted by this. It's very small, but it is done by this. Our Lightning Wall of Elements is also boosted by this, but they're also boosted by this. So our light attacks are just really powerful on the Resto Staff, as you can see. That's pretty high. And then when you add a lot of crit to it, we can actually get a pretty decent amount of damage out of this setup. And then if you have Olorum's, oops. But if you have Olorum's going and then you do your heavy attacks can almost hit for 4k. And then when you add the Absorb Magicka to it, it does a lot more damage. So, alright. And that's it for the build, really. I mean, I don't think you could get a more interesting healer build than this, because it just does so much. It does a lot of group utility. It has a lot of group support. It has a lot of healing support, ridiculous amount of healing support. But if you want to play more of a healer, or if you even want to add, like I said, some more damage to it, you can use other monster sets. You don't have to use Chokethorn. You can use Illumbris. You can use, where is it? Shadowrend. There's another one that's really good that I like to use. Niraneth is a really good one. And this will give you even more health if you wanted it. And then you could use the... You could use Zons with it. You could even use this one. So this way, anytime you use an ultimate, you get extra spell damage. I mean, there's a lot of options, guys. And then on top of that, you can use the Master Maelstrom combo in the stabs. And then just use the Lamias with the Olorim. Now, a lot of people have also asked me, why don't you just use the standard Templar setup, or standard healer setup of the Jovials, the Olorim, and, you know, the standard Earthgore monster set? Because I don't need it. With this build, you don't need it. You already have enough healing, and you don't need the extra buff stuff, because this thing does work really well. The Lamia's set. So that's why I set this up this way. So that's it for the Shaman build, guys. I hope you like it. I actually do enjoy playing this thing. I was actually surprised when I was messing with it and testing it. I was like, this is really awesome. This is a really cool build. The group I was running around with, we were doing a couple different things. We tried some world bosses, adjusted, went and tried a couple dungeon runs, adjusted, and then we tested it in one of the trials. We didn't complete it, but we tested it in the new Cloud Rest trial, and they were just astonished because this thing has so many different heals coming out of it. It just keeps the groups going. With that, if you, like I said, in Cloud Rest, I changed this out for Barrier, so I actually had more, I had more support because I had this massive shield. And when I would cast this massive shield, you get the 7k from that heal, like the burst heal from Lamia's. Then you get this, 1298 heal from the barrier. And then the barrier is 33k. So they were like, yeah, we like this. This is cool. Like I said, it doesn't matter how you use it. It's got a lot of healing. And I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but that's overhealing. It doesn't matter. If you have this many heals, you don't have to focus so much on that, and that's why we can get away with using this and this on the front bar and do heavy attacks, is because this way we can help with group DPS, because we have so many heals going out in so many different ways. And then we have all the buffs, lots of group support, plus the 10% max health. So just saying, it's a really cool build. But again, that's it for this build, guys. Hope you like it. If you do, like button. If you guys want to see more builds by me or other videos by me, you can hit that subscribe button. And tomorrow, just so you guys know, I am going to be releasing the Daedra Healer, or the Daedra Healer, sorry. Well, it's Daedra Healer, which is the Sword Healer. And then Friday is I'm going to be releasing the Meridia's Priest, or Meridia's Light is what I'm calling it. And it is the healer for the Templar. And let me tell you, that thing is about as OP as it can get. That's why I'm releasing it last, is because I wanted to show you guys the other classes, let you see for yourselves what they can do, and then when I release that Templar, you guys can drop your jaws and go, oh my god. So it's an amazing setup. So yeah, but that's what I got going on. So thanks for watching, guys. Until next time, have a wonderful day, and this guy might see you in game. Bye.